Hello, everyone. My name is Clancis, and welcome to the Clancis Do My Good podcast. Speaking of podcasts, guys, I just want to make a disclaimer. I think every podcast I need to make this disclaimer because there seems to be some people, either they deliberately try to misunderstand what I'm saying, or they get too excited and they want to demonstrate how intelligent or academic that they are. And yet in my videos in the beginning, I always make a disclaimer that the things that I speak about in this video, they are not researched materials. It's not me going down the rabbit hole and went and I started researching. I created this platform because I want to speak freely about the things that I want to speak about. At the end of the day, I am a South African. But I'm an African before I'm a South African, and then I'm also an observant person. There are things that I'm observing that are happening on the African continent as well as in South Africa. And because now I have built this wonderful family with African Americans, Black Americans, or whichever way you want to call yourselves, I feel that it is now kind of like my business as well to start observing things that are happening in the US regarding my brothers and sisters that are in the US, that are in Canada, that are in the UK, that are everywhere, Caribbean, wherever they are. And I'm making it my business to observe their lives, to observe the things that also pain me, the things that also make me want to celebrate with them when something good comes out of there or come out of here or in Africa as a whole. So to come and say to me, oh, you need to do your research. Yes, probably I should have, but this platform, it is not a research-based commentary channel. It's me and my two IQs just rubbing them together and sparking some kind of logic in my own head. And I just so happen that I sit down before a microphone as well as a camera, and then I voice out the things that I'm thinking about. So to fight me about, I don't know what makes you feel the nerve, or what nerve did I pinch that got you to start attacking me. So I just want to let you know that if you are going to come to me sideways, I'm also going to come sideways. I'm a Cancer. Cancers, we don't play it like that. If you're going to be shady, we'll be shady too. So there's no be the bigger guy. No, I'm not a bigger guy. I'm just here. If you come down, I come lower. If you go lower, I go to hell. So that's just how it is. So I just want to ask all of us, please, let's be respectful in our comment section. If you feel some kind of way, it's better to keep quiet than saying something that will end up you and I having some kind of scuffling, and I don't like that. Okay, editing Clancis here. So as I'm busy editing the podcast video, I am hearing a hiss sound, like a static sound. I think something is wrong with my microphone. I've done this podcast before, but there was no audio. So I've refilmed the video podcast of the podcast, and now I'm hearing this static sound. If you are hearing that static sound, if you are listening with your earphones, please do forgive me. I'm not quite sure what's happening there. It's something that I'm going to fix at some point, of course. So I highly apologize for that. And also the other thing that I also noticed in the video podcast is that I omitted the fact that many South Africans are seizing the opportunities that are in South Africa, and they're building very great wealth. If you come to South Africa, you are going to see a lot of Black people living in mansions, driving Lamborghinis and Ferraris and Maseratis, and wearing very expensive clothes and things of that nature. We are building the biggest, what do you call this, the richest square mile in Africa, which is Sandton. This is done by Black people. So not to say that all Black people just don't see opportunities. In fact, there are a lot more Black people that are now starting to see opportunities. And many Black people in South Africa have partnered with African Americans in seizing those opportunities. Sometimes the African American comes with the capital, the South African comes with the citizenship, and they form together a business plan of some sort, and then they thrive in these industries that they are in. So don't think that in the video podcast when I said we don't see opportunities, that all of us don't. As a matter of fact, that is incorrect. We see many people see opportunities, many don't see opportunities, and many do see opportunities, but they don't have capital to pursue these opportunities. Maybe that is what I was also trying to say in the video podcast. So I just wanted to correct those few things there in the video podcast. Well, back to the video. So in today's podcast video, so in today's podcast, I thought, let me speak about some of the things that I've been asked on my emails. Thank you so much, everybody that are sending me emails and suggesting topics that you would like me to cover. Again, these are observations on my part. Nothing that I went down the rabbit hole and researched. This is me as a South African citizen, as an African, that I don't need to go to some academic book and read about. It's something that I'm experiencing myself. It's something that I see other people are experiencing, that people that I know, and things like I'm coming to you as authentic and raw and dataless to you. I hope we understand each other there. So now, the question that I was asked in my emails was investing in South Africa. How is it like? And I said in my response to the individual, I'm not quite sure if I should mention names, but I think I should just keep people's names out. I mentioned that South Africa is an emerging market. And it's also a lucrative market, especially for foreign investors, because I'll tell you something about us South Africans, and I think it's something that is not just a phenomena here in South Africa alone, but everywhere. If you live in a country with opportunities or something that somebody else sees that you don't because you live there, South Africans don't necessarily see opportunities that are out there. And people that come into our country are the ones that say, oh my goodness, this business and that business and that. And sometimes me as a South, I'm like, hey, when did I think of that? Because I live here. And then as I live here, I'm focused on my own thing. I'm focused on my own career. I'm focused on paying black tax. It's something that we're going to talk about probably in another video, what black tax is here in South Africa. Probably we are focusing maybe on the fact that we graduated from high school with good flying colors, but when we got to tertiary institutions, due to the lack of money, we could not further our studies. And as a result of that, we ended up becoming unskillful and unemployable, and probably lack some few things that South Africa in the 21st century demands in order for one to be employed. So same goes with investment. We don't have generational wealth. We just got off apartheid about 29 years ago, and we've been working our butts off to try and make something of ourselves before we can even start thinking of building wealth, generational wealth. So for us, it's still about survival. And as we continue trying to survive, there are opportunities that are passing us by that we don't see. Sometimes we even go as far as complaining and bickering and whining to the government that they're not doing anything for us. And yet somebody from outside of South Africa comes in and sees a wealth of opportunities that they can invest in, and they actually do take those opportunities and run with them, and then they build themselves these empires right before our eyes, and we'll be like, but you just arrived in South Africa 2 years ago, and yet you have built all of this. Again, it's not because we're stupid. It is because of our own stuff that we are going through. Some of these things, I would say they are by design by our government to create out of us voting cows rather than critical thinkers, rather than people who are entrepreneurial. If you look at our school subjects, there's a subject in our schools that is called life orientation. Life orientation does not carry any points for a graduate from senior going to university. That subject doesn't carry any weight, and yet it's part and parcel of our education system. And there's a teacher that I think he's called South Africa's best teacher or something like that. He mentioned that that subject needs to be removed and replaced with an entrepreneurial type of subjects, so that students, when they matriculate, we call it matric, you guys call it senior in the US, I think. When you matriculate, you must walk out of, you must leave high school with some kind of entrepreneurial mind. But unfortunately, we don't have those type of mentality. And I think at some point as well, we are also a little bit close-minded about the opportunities that are out there for us South Africans. So I would say it again, as a foreign investor, South Africa is lucrative. You can walk into South Africa the first day and you would already see opportunities, just like that. And when you say them out to me, I'll be like, I never thought of that. That's very interesting. So yeah, South Africa is lucrative for foreign investors to come and invest in South Africa. And now that we are having African Americans coming to South Africa, this is what I wish for you. Because why I wish this for you, I know that not every African American or any American coming to South Africa is coming here with bags of money. But whatever you have, your dollar in South Africa, you can stretch it as far as you want it. You can take literally, let's say, $5,000, buy a vehicle, hire somebody to do Uber for you while you are in the USA. Because that is a lucrative business here in South Africa. You can buy a motorbike, put it to Mr. Delivery. Those are the people that deliver our food. Hire somebody who would do the deliveries on your behalf while you're sitting in the US and you are making money. So there are a lot of opportunities. I'm just using these ones because those are the ones that just came to mind. But there are many other opportunities that African Americans they can involve themselves in. There's Airbnbs. People are coming to South Africa in droves to visit, and they're looking for accommodation. And South Africa is forever building new apartments, new hotels, new hostels, new everything, all directed or focused on tourism. You can even open yourself a tourism company here in South Africa. So there's so many things that you can use your dollar and invest in South Africa. Probably in Africa as a whole. The reason why I speak about South Africa is because this is my home, this is what I know. And so I don't want to misrepresent other 53 African countries. And then when you get there, you're like, but Clancis, you lied to me. Let me rather speak to what I know, and that is South Africa. So again, South Africa also remains the largest economy on the African continent with systems in place. Nigeria has a big GDP, but I understand that they are doing their best to put systems in place. But in South Africa, systems are in place. You have banking systems that are efficient. You have infrastructure that is in place. You've got absolutely everything. Whatever it is that you see in your country, whether you're in Canada or in the UK or in the Caribbean, that infrastructure that you have there, we have it here. And you are not going to struggle with too many things. There might be a red tape here and there, but if you're going to follow the processes, you will not be frustrated. But again, I'm going to leave it up to you to do your research in whatever field you want to invest in. That also includes our Johannesburg Stock Exchange. It's one of the biggest stock exchanges in the world and fully functioning and well-oiled. If you want to invest there, you can go right ahead, do your research, and check it out. Our economy is quite diversified as well. There's so many things to choose from and things of that nature. Now, I also want to touch on some few things. South Africa has had foreign investors coming into the country. Now, one of the things about South Africa is that, like I said, we have systems in place and we also have labor laws in place. And I've also noticed that some investors, when they come to South Africa, which is the reason why South Africans today, they feel betrayed, they feel very angry, and they are really, South Africans are literally up in arms currently because of the betrayal we are feeling. Why we're feeling betrayed is because we were told that foreign investors are coming to South Africa. They're going to create jobs. As they create jobs, they will at least alleviate poverty. They will alleviate unemployment rate. South Africa's unemployment rate as of 2 weeks ago is sitting at 32.9%, the highest currently. And yet South Africa is live with possibilities. Yet South Africa is an economic hub of Africa. And many people that are coming into South Africa, they find a pot of gold and then they leave and they create videos basically bashing South Africa for whatever experiences that they may have had, and forget that they now live a better life because of South Africa. But those are the things that we're going to discuss in other videos as to why people end up basically shitting on top of the head that, or the hand that fed them to begin with. But let me go back to the betrayal. So we will be told that an investor is coming, jobs are going to be created, etc. and so forth. And we get excited, we accept them and welcome them into our communities, and they build these mega factories or industrial plantations, and we really think, wow, at least 200-300 people in this community are going to get jobs, and at least over 10,000 people in that community are going to experience an alleviation of poverty. And then once they are starting to operate, instead of hiring people in those communities, they would rather go and hire people coming from outside of South Africa. And I'll tell you why. Like I said, South Africa has systems in place. And one of the systems that it also has in place is our labor laws. There is a law called Labor Relation Act of 1995. Please do Google it, read it through if you are interested in investing in South Africa, or maybe interested in creating jobs. Just know that that law, it is almost supreme, almost equal to the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa. Anyway, the Constitution, the supreme law, that law, when it comes to labor rights, it really protects the people of South Africa. So many investors do not like that law. So they have found a way of going around it. Because let me give you an example. Let's say you build a factory, and here in South Africa, it's a must, it's a law that minimum wage of 3,500 Rand is paid to your entry level employee. Now, 3,500 Rand, some investors, they think, no, it's too much. But how do I go around paying 3,500 Rand? What they would do is they would open the invitation for people to submit resumes, and South Africans will submit resumes, and the people that will sift through these resumes, they will then look for a non-South African who does not have their immigration papers correct, meaning they either entered South Africa illegally or their papers got expired while they were in the country. Because immediately you get those people, that means you can exploit them. That means the Labor Relation Act does not affect you as the employer, because now you have exploited slaves working for you. And these people, of course, they're coming from wherever they're coming from, desperate to find a job so that they can support their families back home. If you as an investor or the employer, you say, I can only afford 1,500 Rand, and you get to save 2,000 Rand. That's exactly what is happening right now. And this has angered a lot of South Africans. Literally in their communities, they have factories, they got warehouses that are built right there, and none of the community members are working there. But there are people that are working in there. They take taxis, they ride bicycles, motorbikes, and go and work there. And South Africans are like, but we were told that we will be the ones that are employed there. So right now, South Africans are up in arms about that. They are chasing anybody that is not legally in South Africa for that very reason. This problem is created by multifaceted of reasons, but particularly by investors, by police, as well as politicians and corrupt border patrols. These are the four major reasons why we find ourselves in the situation that we find ourselves. So if you are interested in investing in South Africa, whether you want to open a company or you want to employ people, it's going to be in your best interest that you employ South Africans, because at some point this that is bubbling under is going to affect you at some point when South Africans are saying, you know what, you lied to us, get out. Because that's South Africans. South Africans, we have very long patience. And while we are having long patience, we are also studying to see maybe we got it wrong. Where did we get it wrong? And then we know where we get it wrong. And I think that's one of the reasons why we get suppressed, is because, oh, I don't have a degree, or because I don't have a certificate, or because I don't have a diploma, simply because I could not afford to go to university. I could not afford to go to a TVET college. I could not afford to further my studies so I can become what I want, so that I'm able to be employed at that firm or at that warehouse. So now South Africans then tend to kind of like retrieve, but now South Africans are beginning to wake up. Like, no, you are in our community. You are on our land. You built that on our land. And why are we not benefiting anything from that? So those are the things that you need to be aware of when you are coming to South Africa. If you are going to get into the business of Uber, hire South Africans. If you are going to get into the business of delivering food, hire South Africans. If you are going to get in the business of whatever it is, start with South Africans. And then you can hire other people that are coming from outside of South. And I'm not saying that they don't deserve to work, but because of the situation that is happening right now in South Africa, I think it is in your best interests that you don't find your business affected by South Africans uprising against the fact that your company is not employing them, but is exploiting other Africans, because the law in South Africa says pay minimum wage of 3,500 Rand. And you don't want to pay the minimum wage, you want to pay peanuts. And now this also has created another propaganda against South Africans. South Africans are lazy, they are picky and choosy what jobs to take. If you are not going to pay minimum wage, a South African will definitely reject that job. So now, because we reject jobs that pay below minimum wage, and we know that it's against the law not to pay minimum wage, and then you say, they are lazy. So I was listening to a brother on this channel that I love so much called Ken Ganda. And there's a brother there called O'Shea. I don't know if that's his real name, but he shared something. And please don't take it wrong, guys out there. I love y'all. And I just thought, you said something that made me laugh. And in fact, it made me chuckle. And I don't blame you for that. You came to South Africa, I think you said in 2020, and then you went to a restaurant and you noticed that restaurant, only Zimbabweans were working there. And then when you asked why there are no South Africans, I think you were told that South Africans are lazy or something like that, or they don't want to work. Truth of the matter is, if you come to the restaurant, what do you call this? The restaurant sector in South Africa, it doesn't hire South Africans. It doesn't hire South Africans. The reason why they don't hire South Africans is because they are exploiting the Zimbabweans. Zimbabweans are willing to take anything that is, as long as it's going to pay money. It doesn't matter how much the money is. They exploit them. A South African, number one, will say, let's start with minimum wage. A Zimbabwean will say, hey, 1,500 is good. And secondly, restaurants work with tips as well. In South Africa, 10% of what you spend, you pay a tip to your waiter. And then I found out that some restaurants, actually not some, most restaurants, when you pay that 10% tip, the waiter that was doing all that they could to make you happy during your meal don't get that tip. The restaurant takes it. But a South African knows that it's not lawful for the restaurant to do that. So because you are an Zimbabwean coming from Zimbabwe, and you don't have the labor law rights that affords you to tell your employer, no, I want my tips, all of them. But a South African will go straight up to the manager and say, oh, excuse me, my tips, 100% of them. I even heard that some restaurants even take 70% of their tips. And because they are Zimbabweans, they don't have rights. They don't say anything because they don't want to lose that job. But now, when you ask why there are no South Africans, you'll be told, South Africans are lazy or South Africans don't want to work. They will never tell you that part of the story. They will just say we are lazy just to dismiss you. And of course, Osha accepted that and moved on. You know, those are the things that you must also understand South Africans feel betrayed about. Like, we were told this was going to be for us. We were going to work hand in hand with the investors. But they come and then they use our fellow African brothers and sisters against us. So do check out that Labor Relation Act of 1995. I'm not sure what's the number. If I get the number, I'll let you know what the number is. And then another thing that was supposed to benefit the people of South Africa is a policy called Black Economic Empowerment, BEE. BEE was supposed to be a policy that was going to help Black South Africans to rectify the economic lack of opportunities that we received during the days of apartheid. This policy is in a form of affirmative action as well. We do have affirmative action policy. First, hire Black people before white people. And within that, first hire a woman before you hire a male. That is our affirmative action. Same goes with BEE. As I understand BEE was supposed to be our saving grace for the people of South Africa, Black people of South Africa. Business opportunities were supposed to come to us. Part of the BEE policy is that no company in South Africa owned by white people can be owned just by white people. The management as well as ownership, there's got to be Black people there. The CEO must be Black. The CFO must be Black. Basically, the top executive positions must be occupied by Black people. And same goes with ownership. A white person can't just start a company all by themselves without a Black partner or partners. So same goes with a white investor. That's another thing that they don't like about coming to invest in South Africa, is that they would have to take on board a Black person. It's a law. BEE, that its job is to rectify the ills of the past economically so that it gives Black people equal opportunities to also become something of themselves. Unfortunately, this policy has been corrupted by politicians. And Black South Africans are not benefiting from that policy. Only chosen ones and those that are politically connected to the governing party that are benefiting from BEE. It's just unfortunate. And that's another thing that South Africans feel betrayed about. So to my brothers and sisters that are coming to South Africa, African Americans, Black Americans, all I can say is, as you come to South Africa, come with a mindset that if your interest is coming to invest, come with the mindset that you are coming here to It's not like we are looking for a messiah. South Africans are not looking for a messiah. We do have opportunities. Yes, we have high unemployment rates, but we're not looking for a messiah. That's the first thing that you must have at the back of your mind. The second thing that you should have in the back of your mind is that you are coming to South Africa with either a brotherhood or a sisterhood mentality, because the people of South Africa have what you call Ubuntu. And the reason why so many people have taken advantage of South Africans is because of Ubuntu. We believe that we would rather be uncomfortable for your comfort. That's the nature of South Africans, especially black South Africans. So some people took that as a weakness and thought, I can do whatever I want with these people and they're not going to do anything. We might not do anything now, but that animosity will build. And as it builds, it's going to explode like what is happening right now. South Africans, like I said, they are up in arms. They want anybody that is in South Africa illegally to leave, so that spaces of where these people occupy jobs can be opened, so that it can be occupied by South Africans. And the South African government is getting called out for that. Like, why did you allow this? Why are you putting other people first before us? We are the voters. We are the owners of the country, and things like that. And yes, somebody else might come and say, oh, y'all are just so negative and xenophobic. What are we supposed to do? I don't support violence under any circumstances. I don't. But what I also don't support is us being lied to. I feel betrayed myself. I'm fortunate that I went to school. I'm fortunate that I have a career. I'm fortunate that I don't have to even worry myself about what's going on out there. But as a South African, I stand in solidarity with my people, especially when we've been betrayed the way we have been betrayed. And we are continuously being betrayed. So as African Americans coming to South Africa, come here knowing that you are here to build a brotherhood. You are here to build a sisterhood. If you do that, we will work with you united. And we will make sure that you get everything you want. And we will also support you, whatever business that you are bringing here. We've done so for the Chinese. We've done so for the Europeans. We've done so for the white Americans. We've done so for the Indians. We're doing it for other people but black people. And when I talk about black people, I'm talking about the diasporans that are coming to South Africa. We want to do the same for you. As a matter of fact, black people in South Africa have taken a decision that we're buying only black-made products. Only black. Yes, there will be those deviants who are still going to go to a Louis Vuitton shop, who will still go to a Gucci shop. But more and more and more black South Africans buy from black South Africans, including our African brothers and sisters that are here. If they own a boutique, we go and buy from them. If they own a grocery store, we go and buy from them. So same goes with you. When you come here, we want to support you. As long as you are black, we will support you. And if we don't get what we want from you as a black person, and you give us an attitude, you don't deliver, you are basically just taking advantage of our kindness, we'll dump you and go to someone else. So that is what has been on my mind on this podcast. But I wanted to answer the question about investment in South Africa. How is it like? It is lucrative. That is the simplest answer I can give you. It is lucrative. The South African economy is diversified. It's also the largest and has systems in place. And I don't think you are going to struggle whatsoever. All you have to do is do your research around the industry you want to invest in. That's all that you have to do. Industrialization in South Africa is rife as well. If you feel like you can assemble airplanes or create airplanes or create some kind of innovation, South Africa is wide open for that type of business. So do not be afraid. Many people that have come to South Africa creating opportunities for themselves leave the country with bags and bags and bags and bags and bags and bags of profit. So I would love to see that for you too when you come here to our wonderful country. Remember, as a Black diasporan, Africa is your home too. South Africa is your playground as well. So by playground, I'm talking where your opportunities lie. You can enjoy South Africa in its diversity. The people, the landscape, the infrastructure, the everything. Food, you name it, we got it. Perhaps in my next video, I'm going to compile a guide, a travel guide for y'all. If you are interested, please give the video a like. If you can get 100 likes, I'm going to do that video. I'll do a travel guide. I'll also do a video about the people of South Africa. So if you are interested, I am going to do that podcast where I talk about the people of South Africa, a travel guide to South Africa for African Americans that are coming in, because I also get this question a lot: what places should I go to in South Africa? So when you do come to South Africa, don't sign blind us because we have Ubuntu. Rather confront us and let us know the type of person that you are. That's what we enjoy. That's what we appreciate. Being told in our faces, that's just who we are. And we'll talk more about other things that I feel you should be aware of as you come traveling to South Africa, either for a visit or staying in South Africa, so that you come with a clear picture as to whom you are coming to and how your stay is going to be like. And one thing I can tell you for sure, come with energy. You got to come with energy when you're coming to South Africa, because there's no sleeping here. And I'm serious. We play really hard, but we also work really, really hard. So sometimes the balance can be very interesting. You're just going to find your own feet when you get here. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for listening to my podcast this afternoon. And let's see each other again in my next one. I'm going to try to upload as often as possible because I got a lot to talk about in this podcast. And I got to go somewhere. In fact, I'm traveling to another province. I'm just waiting for my transport to come and fetch me to the airport, and then we are out of here. Possibly the video podcast of this podcast is going to be uploaded either on Friday or Saturday morning. We'll see how it all goes. Depends on how busy I am. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for listening. If you liked the video podcast, if you're watching on YouTube, give it a like. I highly appreciate that. Like I said, if you give me 100 likes, I'm going to do a video on a travel guide to South Africa, or talking about the people of South Africa if you're interested to know more about us. And I'm going to speak on it on the authentic side of things, not the academic side of things. So if you're watching on YouTube, please do share the video podcast far and wide. It helps my channel to get discovered by more people. And also leave me a like. I think I've said that already. Comment down below. Let me know what you think. Are you going to come to South Africa to invest? Are you interested in investing in South Africa? If you want to know more questions about that, maybe I can go down that rabbit hole and start doing some research for you. And then I'll just email it to you, or probably come on the podcast, talk about it on that academic point of view, which is not exactly my thing, especially when I'm doing this podcast. Now I'm blabbing. Goodbye.